Chapter 26 Festival at Adhar's House. Sunday, August 3, 1884. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in his room in the temple garden at Dakshineshwar after his midday meal. A party of Bauls from Shivpur, several devotees from Bhavanipur, Balaram, and M were in the room. Rakhal, Latu, and Horish were then living with the master. They too were present. The master began the conversation by addressing the Baul musicians from Shivpur. Master: Yoga is not possible if the mind dwells on woman and gold. The mind of a worldly man generally moves among the three lower centers, those at the navel, at the sexual organ, and at the organ of evacuation. After great effort in spiritual practice, the Kundalini is awakened. According to the yogis, there are three nerves in the spinal column: Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. Along the Sushumna are 6 lotuses, or centers, the lowest being known as the Mooladhara. Then come successively Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha, and Ajna. These are the 6 centers. The Kundalini, when awakened, passes through the lower centers and comes to Anahata, which is at the heart. It stays there. At that time, the mind of the aspirant is withdrawn from the 3 lower centers. He feels the awakening of divine consciousness and sees light. In mute wonder, he sees that radiance and cries out, "What is this? What is this?" After passing through the 6 centers, the Kundalini reaches the 1000-petaled lotus, known as the Sahasrara, and the aspirant goes into Samadhi. According to the Vedas, these centers are called Bhumi, plains. There are 7 such plains. The center at the heart corresponds to the 4th plane of the Vedas. According to the Tantra, there is in this center a lotus called Anahata with 12 petals. The center known as Vishuddha is the 5th plane. This center is at the throat and has a lotus with 16 petals. When the Kundalini reaches this plane, the devotee longs to talk and hear only about God. Conversation on worldly subjects, on woman and gold, causes him great pain. He leaves a place where people talk of these matters. Then comes the 6th plane, corresponding to the center known as Ajna. This center is located between the eyebrows and it has a lotus with 2 petals. When the Kundalini reaches it, the aspirant sees the form of God. But still, there remains a slight barrier between the devotee and God. It is like a light inside a lantern. You may think you have touched the light, but in reality, you cannot, because of the barrier of glass. And last of all is the 7th plane, which, according to Tantra, is the center of the 1000-petaled lotus. When the Kundalini arrives there, the aspirant goes into Samadhi. In that lotus dwells Satchidananda Shiva, the Absolute. There Kundalini, the awakened power, unites with Shiva. This is known as the union of Shiva and Shakti. When the Kundalini rises to the Sahasrara and the mind goes into Samadhi, the aspirant loses all consciousness of the outer world. He can no longer retain his physical body. If milk is poured into his mouth, it runs out again. In that state, the life breath lingers for 21 days and then passes out. Entering the black waters of the ocean, the ship never comes back. But the Ishwar Kotis, such as the incarnations of God, can come down from this state of Samadhi. They can descend from this exalted state because they like to live in the company of devotees and enjoy the love of God. God retains in them the ego of knowledge or the ego of devotion, so that they may teach men. Their minds move between the 6th and the 7th planes. They run a boat race back and forth, as it were, between these 2 planes.